Welcome to a new episode of the Bacchanal Podcast. This is your boy Akil live from Facebook jail, joined by K to the C.
What up, everybody?
We got a special guest in the building, Zo.
Oh, what's going on, brothers, man? It's my man Akil, man.
Welcome.
Hold it down.
Welcome back, Zo. Welcome back, man. Last time we had you on was on the Black Panther episode. You killed that thing, man. So welcome back.
Yeah, last time I was talking to y'all, we were talking about Black Panther. I remember another time Akil saved me from being lynched in downtown Syracuse. So, I popped up out of an ice cream shop out of nowhere like 40 minutes later.
Yeah.
So, different circumstances, but it's always good to be amongst the brothers for sure, man.
Yeah, man. And YouTube, what's good? What's happening, man? IG Live, what's good? We here, baby. IGTV. So
Yeah.
Talking
Jail
about
life
today,
ain't so bad, man. I got White Claw in jail.
White Claw. Oh Lord.
Well, I've been
Go
reading.
get you some rum, man. You're you go get a rum.
I'm in jail, son. Let me live my jail life.
How soft things is
I've
this?
been reading the good book, Power of X.
Okay.
I'm in here, man, trying to reform myself, man.
You're liking that though, huh? How you liking it?
It's all right, man. I'm not sure if I'm liking it yet.
Okay, that's good.
It has a girl on me, so I've been reading. I'm still trying to follow the timelines. You know, I'm trying to work on myself so I don't have to go to jail again. This is not me. I'm more than my condition, and what confines me right now. More than that.
I told you what to do already. Make a fake account. Post the ratchetness onto our page with that fake account, and then in the comments, just say with your real name. Say it with your chest, you know what I mean? Say how you feel. Say it with your chest in the comments.
Bro, I think it was something stupid because somebody was asking for
someone's gunning for you,
something
man.
like that, and I sent a picture of Nightwing, and I was like, "There you go."
Yeah, someone's gunning for you.
So, like, what's bad about his name is Dick
man.
Grayson?
It's personal.
It's personal, man. Like, Facebook want me to be great out here.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I'm gonna send you this video later on, Akil. It was a meme. Was a video the scene in Boys in the Hood where when they're young Trey sees young Doughboy getting picked up, and they like, what were they doing? Shoplifting. But in the meme, it's like that one friend that's always in Facebook jail, and it's like, what was he doing? Somebody reported the post. It's like
It's not even. It's the algorithm that keeps getting me, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's little like words like Dick, Richard, any like little word. The computer will like pick that up and flag me because they don't have like enough manpower working Facebook right now because of coronavirus. So like the automated machine is going after my black ass.
That's what slang's for, though, man. Just flip that.
So
shit.
you literally being
I
profiled
think I
by
put Dick one
algorithms.
time, and they're like, "You're crossing it, Gregory."
Gotta put coca-looks or something, you know, some Trinidadian slang. They won't know what hit them.
I would start saying "poom poom" and coca-looks now.
Yep.
That's gonna be the new thing.
Yep.
My brother's being profiled by algorithms.
Yeah,
man.
Ain't that some
Write.
shit?
I write algorithms and they turn them against me.
You're supposed to have rhythm. You black. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to be ahead of the game. You're supposed to be ahead of the curve.
Algorithm, man. So I'm here in this jail, just living. I'm about to read the Quran or the Torah or something. I'm gonna get my life together.
Get it straight. Yep.
I'm gonna be a new, improved Akil when I come. I'm gonna shave. I'm gonna clean up my act. I'm gonna kiss my son. All of that.
It's gonna be the father that Drake wishes he was.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the father that Drake wishes he was. Yes, that's what I'm gonna do.
So what we talking about today, man? This is a special episode we got going on here.
So, Lil
Into the
Boosie
culture.
decided to open up his mouth again,
Oh,
and we're gonna just play this clip, and then we're gonna talk about it.
yeah, let's play this clip there.
So let me do
Boosie.
Boosie, man. I was saying this was the year of Boosie, but it's not looking so good right now.
He's trying to make it the year, Boosie. That's for sure.
He is, but some things,
Boosie's gonna be responsible for us to have a license to go on Instagram Live.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to sign health insurance.
Y'all ready? Make sure y'all can hear this. I'm gonna play it.
I'm training them boys, right? Ask in there, my nephew. Ask in them. Ask my son. Yeah. They were 12, 13. They got head. Yeah. That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Hell yeah, I got my fucking son dick sucked. He's fucking right.
This nigga.
Yes, a grown woman. grown, super grown. Super grown. Check this ass out.
CPS.
Check out.
For real, man.
CPS.
Oh, Boozy.
Boosie.
Who wants to start this thing, man? Y'all want to let your thoughts
I'm gonna
out
let the
first?
guests jump on this first. It's so much.
Zoe, how you feel about this, man?
What the hell is wrong with this man?
In a world where niggas nig, Boosie is gonna Boosie, right? So I'm like, so Akil, you couldn't see this because you're obviously doing your bid in Facebook jail.
I'm in jail. I can't see shit, man.
I posted Thursday for Throwback Thursdays. I took people on like a stroll down memory lane because I was like, okay, Boosie has essentially reminded us of who he is. And because in August 2017, he said the same thing. He posted a picture. It was like, happy birthday, Tootie Raw. You my dog, you know, we gonna get you a stripper, man. You know, so then he had a video response the same day, August of 2017. He's like, you know, I was just playing, man. You know, I ain't really mean that. You know, I just, you know, just how we joke. Obviously, you know, he meant it, and he had it with as much. He said that with as much energy as the person he hired to suck the soul out of himself and his sons and nephews. So, like, I'm like, with Boosie, it's like, okay, so let's look at this. It's one thing to have sex education talks with teenage, you know, children, because that's expected, right?
Yeah.
And there's a reasonable expectation and way to handle those discussions. There's another thing to encourage and arrange sexual activity, and to arrange the sexual activity with an adult for your teenage son and nephews, and to share sex partners. Because in the video, he's also like, yeah, man, I mean, she checked me out. So I know what she did to them. You know, she checked me all the way out. So I can't imagine what she did to them, dog. So I'm like, oh, so y'all sharing
is that father-son bonding moment for him?
Yeah,
like, yeah, boy, yeah. Go if you do that thing, yeah.
I'm like, what in the world? Like, y'all sharing. So you got to pick a struggle, man. Like, pick one, but choose wisely. Like, you don't arrange for your son to have sex with an adult, and you've also shared this sex partner. You're like, pick one struggle, choose wisely, but pick one. And
so he tagged his son in like WWE tag team. Like, he's like, that mouth good, son. Go ahead and jump in.
No. He basically
want to play Fortnite.
He basically gave her a recommendation letter, right? It's like saying, hey, I've been to this restaurant, and the chef, the cooking, the kitchen is fire. You got to try this restaurant. Like, he gave her a 5-star review.
So he went on Yelp.
He went on Yelp,
Yelp,
right? He went on Yelp and says, hey, I'm not only going to refer you to this restaurant, but I'm going to pay for your meal. That's the sexual equivalent of what's happening here, right? And he did that for his son and nephews. And so
and probably countless others that he hasn't spoke of.
Right. Because they got friends. You know, they got friends.
And his uncle probably did it for him. Like, I was listening to Brilliant Idiots, and they used the perfect analogy. This is like an ignorant bar mitzvah.
Yes.
It's like, use a man now, I'm going to pay for you to get some head.
Yeah, in no shape or form is this black culture at all, man.
No,
this is just some ghetto ass shit.
Coonery. This is
I just heard this is just ridiculous. You gotta let the kid go out there and fail himself. Like, you gotta let him go out there and learn that you can't just buy things from people, and that's not the way life is, man. Like, doing this for your kid is crazy.
Why are you overly sexualizing your kid at like 13, man? You wouldn't do that for your daughter.
Ready.
You're not gonna pay for some grown ass man to go down on your daughter to make
it. Exactly.
It's just nuts, man.
And who are these nasty ass grown women?
That's what I want to know.
In their mouth.
Who's doing it?
Right.
Who's taking that check? Like, what's going on?
That's what I was like. Of course, the people on Al Gore's internet, like Facebook,
fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, people are like, you got the one side that's like, I mean, it's not anything new in terms of kids having sex, and I'm like, okay, there's layers to this. So, like, first, we know that teenagers are sexually active or sexually curious. We know that isn't new. We have trends and data to back teenage pregnancies and things like that. But like, even those trends can be contextualized. And it's like, sure, in terms of sexual exploration, sexual curiosity, sexual activity, we know that's not new. But when we're talking about a parent who is actively arranging for their son and nephews who are underage to not only have sex, but arranging that sex to take place with someone who is a full-blown adult, or to use his words, a full-grown woman.
Yeah, and
right?
And how's Boosie know that it even went down? How does he know the kid didn't go
in the room
like,
cheering his son on?
That's another layer. That's the layer that no one's even talking about. Like,
which is even more. Where's CPS at?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right.
Can't write this in a movie.
It's like Akil said, it's a sophisticated ratchet bar mitzvah.
This is some craziness, man.
And it's like,
this does not represent the black man whatsoever. I see girls on Instagram saying black men need to stop doing this. No, we're not. We are not doing this shit. It's not happening.
And that's the problem, right? So, on the post I wrote also was like, you have to be careful what you normalize, because normalization sets precedent. Yeah. So it's like, if you're normalizing these type of practices, whether it's Louisiana culture, hip hop culture, which obviously Akil will get to that later with instances of Bow Wow and such. But like, if you're normalizing these practices in the name of how you define masculinity, how you define manhood, like if you're saying you became a man because you had sex with a woman, like sexual abuse is not a rite of passage. Exactly. And that's not a practice that ever needs to be normalized, because it's not only a legal issue, it's also a moral and ethical issue.
He's passing down his trauma that his uncle or whoever passed on to him. He passed that on to his son now, and the circle is just going to continue of their trauma of like, you's a man now, when really you're not. You're just a person who had sex with an adult and you don't even know what happened. I remember when I was in school, like middle school, like I guess like they hypersexualized everything. Like everybody was trying to have sex as teenagers, and some people were even having sex with grown people. My thing is with Boosie, the world we live in, he could have saved that money and just sent his son to school, because that blonde teacher would have did it for free.
Yes, he would have.
See that in the news these blonde teachers going down on kids. You can't even send your kids to school without them having sex with teachers now.
All he's teaching them is negative entitlement. Like, honestly, he's teaching them, like, you just throw money at the problem, or throw money at the issue, and that'll handle it. He got to teach his kid to learn how to fail and how to adjust to hearing no. Like, going to a party and trying to whine on a girl and she says no, like getting denied trying to talk to a girl. You learn how to get better.
Not just that, the kid's having sex at 13 with a grown-ass woman. That's the biggest.
No, I know. I know there's layers to this, but I'm trying to break down, like, as a kid, like, you got to learn these ways to talk to people.
Speaking facts.
You got to learn
these
these
that,
things.
But
like,
my first thing is just pedophilia is the first thing I see.
No, I know, but we spoke on that. I'm just talking about this kid's adjustment as growing to a real man.
Oh, like, he's rich. He's going to be entitled anyways. His dad's Boosie.
Nah, that's not true. I don't think he's going to be entitled just because he has money. But this is definitely going to push him in that direction of the wrong way.
Entitlement. Like, if I can't get you, I'm going to buy you.
Yeah, and he's going to be growing up, like, throwing money at girls that are, when he's 17, like, yeah, I got money, though. And it's like, that is not the right way to look at life, man, because he's going to be getting the no a lot. And a lot of us got that no a lot, and we learned how to be like, all right, it's not a big deal. Like, move forward. You know what I mean? But he's gonna hear no, and he's gonna be like, it's gonna hit his ego, and he's gonna blow up in a certain way that's not healthy. So that's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
And see what KC is speaking about is also how what's happening in terms of Boosie financing this sexual, interaction, like actually financing rape. Like what KC is speaking to is also how Boosie now, since his prison release, right? Yeah. In the past year, his biggest trending issues has been rooted in sensationalism. So what KC is talking about, whether we're looking at him, initially wearing the Kappa's letters, to like his most recent shenanigans were, oh, put your pussy lips on live and I'll give you $1,000. So like that type of ideology is what KC is talking about in terms of like, yo, I have money, I can make you do what I want because I have money. I got $1,000, you gonna show me somebody eating pussy. And like, you have people who literally did that. And so I think like Casey is talking about, and as Akil, you're talking about too, it's a both and, right? Yeah. There's the psychological aspect, there's the emotional aspect, because you already have an impressionable teenager who's still a child, not only legally but mentally, right? Their brains aren't even fully developed till you're 25. Mm-hmm. So your decision making, your prefrontal cortex isn't there, and then your father is in a position of power, so you don't feel like you can tell him no. You don't feel like or tell him no without being shamed or without being called a pussy. Yeah. Because that's the type of culture that's being breeded here. Like, oh man, you a I can't believe this nigga, you gay. You know, so
that's
like,
what it always is. Yeah.
And it's a layer of issue too, because like if the kid did this on his own merit out of just the gander and the gift of the talks, you know what I mean? Then we would look at it like, oh shit, this kid's got something on him. But at the same time, we got to get out of that mind state and start thinking like, who is this adult who did this to you? You know what I mean?
Right.
Even though he pulled that on his own at 13, if you pulled we got to look at it like, nah, that still ain't right. We all got to come around, uncles and fathers got to come around this kid as men and be like, nah, this isn't the route. You know what I mean? Even though it seems cool to you, it's not. This isn't cool because you don't know what her issues are, her mental issues.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
As a society, I think we over-sexualize men from like a young age. We're calling this, this one's a lady killer. This one's going to be doing
this.
Heartbreaker. So we got to do better as people. Yeah,
we got to do better as a people. And then like as a teenager growing up, all these movies I'm watching, like Can't Hardly Wait. Everything's about I got to get my dick wet. Every movie is just got to get my rocks off before I go to college. And then when you're in college, these girls are expecting men to be sexually experienced. They don't want no virgin. So it's like society wants you to be a hoe out here in these streets.
It does, yeah. It does.
Yeah. What both of you are speaking to is like, particularly as it relates to young black men growing into puberty and then going into adolescence and manhood and adulthood, is like you're both speaking to how the black bodies have been sexualized, right? And we know this from the days of slavery, like where your value literally was based on your physicality and like, oh, he's a buck, or this child is strong and virile. So like all of that has taken different avenues now. Like Akil is talking about, we see it whether you're talking about entertainment in terms of sports or the NFL or NBA draft, but we also see it in movies. We also see it in, again, different ways, even unconsciously. As Akil was talking about, narratives are reinforced like, oh, he's going to be a heartbreaker, or he's going to be a lady killer, he's a heartthrob. So like, it's one thing to say those things in jest when you have a cute baby boy who's 3 versus, when you're 7 and you're 12 and you're 14 and you're taught masculinity is based on sexual conquest. Yep. Masculinity and manhood is based on rites of passage and getting pussy. Like, and that's the narrative that a lot of young men are receiving. And like both of you are saying, the uncles and the cousins and the mentors in the community oftentimes aren't saying anything differently because they were doing the same thing, or they were so they can't confront what's wrong with the youth because they haven't confronted what's wrong with their own ideologies and practices.
Yeah. Plus, we gotta talk about this. When's the last time Boosie really had a hit on his own? Like, come on. He's like,
wipe me down, man. That's a Negro spiritual.
It is, but like he had a hit in a minute. The IG song that people flipped that thing that he said and they made it into a song, that was catchy, but that wasn't him in the studio. Like, I gotta make this.
So that's what I'm saying. That's
what he's staying afloat with. Like he's been tempting that ceiling for a long time by saying more and more crazy stuff. You know what I mean? That we may not have deemed as nuts, but like he's been saying things knocking the ceiling for a minute, and he's finally just cracked through. With, like everybody was like, wait, what did that just say? You know what I mean? So
how you gonna bash Wade's son who transitioned into a daughter? Talking about don't cut his dick off while you sliding your son's dick into some stripper's mouth.
Glass house, man. Glass house.
throwing all the stones.
Yeah, and that was another thing, right? Where
it's sensational.
Don't cut his dick off, man.
Yeah, another thing. He's like, "Come on, man. Don't cut his dick off, man. Come on, man." And so,
like it was funny, and we were all laughing. So he's like, "How much further can I push this? How much further can I push?"
And I'm like, I remember when he said it, I'm like, "No, Torrance. I got to call you Torrance now. Like Torrance Hatcher Jr. Stop." So like, you had people again this past week that were making these false equivalencies where they were like, and I understand the premise of in terms of parenting and exploring sexuality. I understand why they would say, oh, well, when D Wade was talking about his son transitioning to daughter, they were comparing that to Boosie and parenting. And I'm like, well, one is actually a statutory legal issue. Like in Louisiana, it is already, number one, illegal to solicit a prostitute, and number two, it is illegal to have sex with someone, for an adult to have sex with someone who's under 17. So like, that's a legal issue. It is not illegal for Zaya Wade to identify as transgender. Like that's not illegal. Exactly. So you can talk about morality, which is subjective to what you believe. We can talk about ethical implications and those things, but like,
it's a false equivalency at the end of the day.
It's a very false equivalency.
It just sounded funny when Boosie was like, "Come on, man, don't cut
that
go,
come
man."
On. Yeah,
that just sounded funny.
Maybe in Boosie's mind, he wanted to pay for a hooker for D Wade's son. Let him get it wet first before you cut it off.
No.
Let him get it wet at least one time before you.
In Boosie's mind, he's like, "Yo, I'm doing a solid. What's wrong with the world?"
Yeah, in his mind, he really thinks he's doing the right thing.
And that's the thing, right? Because he makes the statement in the video Akil shared. He makes the statement, "I'm raising these boys right. I'm raising them right, man." So when you have, like
paid off his, he's like, "I paid my mortgage off. I'm about to retire."
Yeah, like
going to college, man. You can't. I know what I'm doing. You know, it's I'm seeing his body language like saying that, but what he's saying is chaos. You know what I mean?
Because I'm like, when you have the problem with Boosie and the badasses like him, is you have men who have that type of ideology where they are so, they're so on one side of the spectrum of masculinity and like hyper masculinity that, especially with Boosie, who's very anti-gay or I'll say anti-gay because he doesn't have a problem with lesbians, because when it comes to lesbians, he's thinking about how he can have a threesome. So he would be more accepting of his daughter being a lesbian versus his son being gay. So like he's very anti-gay to the extent that he will literally coerce his sons or nephews into being a victim of sexual assault.
Yeah.
And that's problematic as hell. You know,
it's just
like
so whack. Like you paid for it though. Like I don't know how to know, like it's just so layers of corny.
He financed his son to be raped.
But even if he caught a threesome, he didn't catch that. He paid for it. It's like he the same. You know what I mean? Like
he literally arranged for it to happen, and it reflects trends. Like I was reading earlier this week.
Entitlement, man. It's just corny shit.
Yeah, well, and it reflects the trends even when it comes to child sex abuse. Like I was reading the trends earlier this week where like 90% of children who are victims of sexual assault, they know their perpetrators. And then within there's 27% of children who they're victims of sexual assault by family members. And then like from age, I think it's 6 to 12, it's 30%. Wow. That they're victims by family members of the perpetrators. So it's like, you know, there's access, there's power, like KC is talking about, where you have resources, right? You have, it's kind of like Ted DiBiase used to say in WWF, right? Everybody's got a price, everybody's gonna pay. So like, the $1 Million Man is like, everybody's gonna be bought. And like Boosie, when he has the resources, like under normal circumstances, this person in their right mind would say, absolutely not, that's disgusting. Mm-hmm. But when I can throw some stacks at you, I can convince you or manipulate you to do this for me and my son. And so there's resources, there's access, there's also power, because again, you have a father-son power dynamic or a uncle-nephew power dynamic.
Yeah.
And there can be a lot of shaming if they were to say, no, I don't want to do that. There could be shaming and, you know, guilting and, you know, all of that.
Peer
and then
pressure.
there's peer pressure.
Yeah.
And there's privilege, right? Where someone on my post was like, Boosie's going to jail. I was like, nah, no, he's not. Like,
honestly, I really feel like ignorance is bliss. I feel like he's just been surrounded by people that did that it's normalized to him. He doesn't see a problem with it. It's the normal thing. It's like everyone around you is circumcised, and then one person isn't circumcised. You're like, oh, nigga, that's weird. How come you're not circumcised? Everybody else here is. Well, how come you doing that weird shit? So for the outside looking in, Boosie thinks we're weird because we're not out here paying for strange.
Or that we're gay.
Like, she's like, generations and generations been doing that in my family. We came out right. What's wrong with y'all? I'm raising my son right.
Right.
It's normalized to him because his circle, everyone in the circle is like cheering him. Yeah, it's the right thing to do, boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's like your kid wanting weed, and you buy the weed for him. And you're like, he ain't out here in these streets trying to get. I provide for mine. I give him all his drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Normalizing bad behavior.
He's like, I'm getting my son's royal penis cleaned, Your Highness. What do you want from me?
What else? Like, he sees ignorance is bliss.
So let's talk about the this happening in the rap world and in the past and history that we know of. You know what I mean? I know you want to speak on that, Akil. So you want to talk on that?
All right, real quick. Let me show y'all Bow Wow. Bow Wow talked about Esther Baxter sleeping with him at a very young age.
Jeez.
And apparently in hip hop, they kind of like these young artists like Bow Wow, Usher. Apparently, when he was with P Diddy, allegedly P Diddy brought some girls around him sleeping. Yeah. So I wanted to show this quick clip real quick right here. Share screen with y'all.
I have a theory about the rap artists, and artists, not just rap artists, but this happening in the music culture.
And everything Jermaine had, I wanted, and it fucked me up. So, true story. I remember Jermaine went out to the Gentleman's Club.
Fuck Glad. I fucking hate this guy.
All time in Atlanta.
Get in trouble. This
and
DJ Vlad
they go, and of course I couldn't get in, but all the strippers knew who I was. So I had all the girls come outside by the car. So when Jermaine and Nelly was walking out, they hearing, what the fuck is going on? Bow Wow hanging out the window. He got all the strippers outside the window. So when people look at me now and it's like, oh, why does he like strippers? Oh, why do they go to the strip club? Oh, why? It's because of my upbringing. That's what I was brought up on. Raised in Atlanta. Jermaine's like my mentor / father figure. I see them do it. When I get older and I get my bank up, I want to do it. So when it came to women, it was kind of like I really wasn't fucking with nothing my age. I wanted older women. Okay. I wanted the women that Jermaine had. I wanted all his women. And that...
See, he's a little different though. He wanted it though. He wanted that life.
Yeah, but he ended up sleeping with Esther Baxter, and he was 15, and she was a grown-ass woman.
Good for him.
Right.
Man. Nice shot. Shit. If he
so that's
rape.
I know.
so that's the nuance and layer that both of you were talking about earlier, right? Where it's like, okay, in this situation with Bow Wow, there's an element of autonomy, right? Where you have a Bow Wow who is a teenager who's exploring and sexually curious and is saying, I want that, right? So he has the autonomy to pursue. And then you say, even with autonomy, like Akil is saying, while you have the autonomy to pursue legally, your verbal consent doesn't nullify statutory rape, legally speaking. And there's an adult buffer. There's supposed to be an adult buffer that says, even though you want that and you're okay with that and you understand, like, to some extent, as you're 15, you understand some of the implications of that. No. And this is why this is a no. So it's what Akil, like what you just played, and I'm going to go back up to KC with Vlad. Yeah, Vlad is like first 48. Like, you never see him on camera, but he's asking these questions.
Yeah,
but
killing people's career.
But to what this is also, it's a microcosm of a microcosm, right? And what I mean by that is, what we see with Boosie and his son is a microcosm of hip hop culture, which is also a microcosm of
the entertainment business.
Yeah, entertainment businesses and other issues with Black masculinity and manhood. Because we've seen other instances like Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne lost his virginity at age 11 to a 14-year-old T.I. lost his virginity at 11. When we look at people like Peter Guns, lost his virginity as a teenager to an adult woman. D. Ray Davis is also on record doing interviews having lost his virginity to older women when he was a teenager, and he was like 15, and he was, a victim of rape or sexual assault by an older woman. Like Chris Brown also. He's someone who is probably
old ass baby mama.
You know what I'm saying? He was extremely young.
Face.
Chris Brown lost his virginity at age 8. And so,
jeez,
by the time you gotta, as we're putting all this in context, you say, okay, by the time we know Chris Brown as, I know your name, but excuse me, miss, like 7 years have passed now. So when Chris Brown is talking about Take You Down, he's not talking about being a virgin and Take You Down.
Talk that talk for real.
Like he's
Casey Zoe. I don't want to cut y'all off or run out of time because I didn't upgrade to the pro yet. We're down to 5 minutes. So
okay, cool. Yeah, I see that.
Last thoughts. Casey, I know you got to get some stuff off your chest. Go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking about the Joe Budden podcast when Joe Budden was like, Bow Wow was sending him a text like, huh? We both hate Esther, huh? And Joe Budden's like, yo, I love that girl. We're both the same age. Like, we were in love. Hired her.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So my thing is, are we going to start holding some of these women accountable too?
Yes, hell yeah.
Because this whole Boosie thing, it's not just about Boosie. It's bigger than Boosie. It's like a society normalizing this behavior. At the end of the day, it's molestation, and we're acting like it's okay if the person has money.
Yeah,
or
but
if it's in the hood.
In the entertainment culture, I think it's like these guys, these older idiot guys who are, Jermaine Dupri's probably what, 23, 24 at the time. He's probably like, let get over it. Just get over this right now, because there's gonna be a lot of women that are gonna be into you. So just let's get this going now. And it's wrong, but that's probably what their mind state is. Like,
you're trying to make these kids become sociopaths at young ages, man.
But they're like, yo, you're around it. More people are gonna throw it at you. You got to get accustomed to it right now, because a lot of girls in every city is gonna want you. You can't be hitting everything, but just
get it wet before it becomes dry.
Hit the top of the chart, girls that we got here, and just keep moving, keep the money, keep the business professional. I don't know, but it's wrong though. It's wrong, but it's a distorted way of looking at things, and it's pretty wrong and immature.
Joe, final thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with both of you in terms of holding everyone accountable, because it's like at some point when you're dealing with impressionable children, you're dealing with people who aren't able to legally consent. Adults have to be held accountable, especially those who are culpable, right? So it's like Akil was saying, especially with women, like if y'all want equal rights, you need equal accountability. So okay, we talking about Me Too. We gonna start y'all too.
Him too.
Like, y'all too. Like, whether it's the grown woman who's having sex with Boosie's sons and nephews, or whether it's men like Boosie who are enabling and arranging these things. Like, y'all too, man. Like, this is not okay. This is not something that we want to normalize. Not only as Black people, but as Black men, we don't want to normalize
that. Shouldn't be like our culture.
It
shouldn't be rape culture.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what
it's definitely not.
That's what they're trying to push on us.
Not a rites of passage. Sexual assault is not a rites of passage.
That is not our culture at all, man.
All right, so my final thoughts is we gotta stop passing on our trauma to our kids, and we need to deal with it ourselves and figure out what we're doing wrong before we try to perpetuate our own issues onto our children. So that's my final thoughts on this issue. And if somebody wants to go send CPS at Busey, I can't even be mad at him, because he went out there on the social platform and told the world all his business and displayed his dirty laundry for the world, and you got to deal with the consequences of that. So that's on him.
Yeah.
But us as a people, we got to do better and not promote this bullshit and not make excuses for boys will be boys. No, that's not right. Boys need to, not be overly sexualized, and girls shouldn't be pressured to have sex with young men because they're in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Because God forbid if his son actually contracted an STI from their shared, I can't even imagine.
Their father-son bonding moment.
Right. Like when
they're in the hospital together holding it down.
Wipe me down. Wipe me down.
Wiping it down.
Like, what in the name of Uncle Grandpa is going on here?
It's going to be a whole different meaning than wipe me down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I think that ends.
STDs on me. Wipe me down.
PAREINTING. Do you know what that means?
You gonna have chlamydia.
Right.
Woo.
I think that's it, man. We covered everything on this.
All right, that's it for the Bacchanal Podcast. Zo,
yeah, man.
It's a pleasure having you on here again.
Thank you as always, man.
A pleasure, man. Love you, brothers, man.
All right,
y'all watching that Nelly and Luda?
Oh, hell yeah, tonight watching that. All right, everybody.
I'll pass on that one. I'm going to put my little sticker under my eye.
Luda's going to kill this one.
Peace.